Hi, thank you for watching my channel today. My name is Sarah and my channel is called Your True Shelf. So I've moved positions, so I'm normally over there in the corner of the bookshelves, but it's just getting darker and darker trying to film there this time of year, even though it's daylight outside. So now I am on my other wall of bookshelves, which is not as pretty because there's like my art supplies there and my husband's books there. Ooh, hold on, I wouldn't make it as a weather now, would I? There. And so these ones are my male author bookshelves. So anyway, I'm here because it's better lighting. The window is right there, as you can probably see reflected in my glasses. So today I'm doing like a little kind of mishmash wrap up. What books have I got? What am I reading? That kind of video. So I'm not 100% sure when the last time I did a wrap up was. I think it was like before Christmas maybe. Can't remember. Anyhow, so the books that I finished, I think, since I last spoke to you. The first one is Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. So obviously a children's classic. I got this because I wanted to get it for my kids for when they're old enough. I saw it in a charity shop, and then I heard Morgan Long and Lauren from Lauren and the Books talking about this and how much they absolutely adored it. So I was like, okay, I fancy something comforting. I'm going to read it like just between Christmas and New Year, and I absolutely loved it as well. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's about Anne Shirley, who is an orphan. She is adopted by Matthew and Marilla, who are a brother and sister who don't have any children, and they think they're going to adopt a boy who is going to help with the farm labour, but they get Anne instead, and they just fall in love with her and they want to keep her. So Anne is just the most charming, inspiring, positive, beautiful, natured like child, and I just absolutely love. There's so many quotes. Like if you Google Anne of Green Gables quotes, there's so many nice quotes. I've like put one of them already in my bullet journal. I was just trying to see if I can find. There's one which I really loved, but okay, so I found it. So Marilla, who is the woman who's adopting Anne, she asks her to like say her prayers, and Anne says, well, she doesn't really know how to say her prayers if she hasn't done it before. And then Anne says, why must people kneel down to pray? If I really wanted to pray, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd go out into a great big field all alone, or into the deep, deep woods, and I'd look up into the sky, up, 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 into that lovely blue sky that looks as if there was no end to its blueness, and then I'd just feel a prayer. When I'm ready, what am I to say? I love that, because I was like, me too. So, yeah, she loves nature so much, and she really appreciates it, and she sees so much beauty in the world, and it's such a lovely book, so I'd recommend that to anybody. And then the next book I read, I sort of started it just before I started Anne of Green Gables, and then I finished it afterwards. And this is Spiritual Partnerships by Gary Zukav. So Gary Zukav wrote a book called The Seat of the Soul, which I read many years ago, and which changed my life. This kind of builds on that, really. I feel like probably better to read The Seat of the Soul first. This is basically about forming a new level of partnerships with people, and it doesn't just mean like romantic partnerships. It means like friendships, colleagues, with your kids, just anybody really. And it talks about kind of moving beyond the kind of relationships we know now and taking them up to the next level really. And it talks a lot about how our pain is caused by feelings of powerlessness and trying to control things that are out of our control, or try and control others' reactions. And it talks about the most important thing in our interactions is what our intentions are with those interactions. So you might be being nice to somebody, but are you being nice because your intention is to look better, or because your intention is to then use that person for something that you need? So it says like the intention is much more important than the action. And well, so it talks about a lot about our emotions and how we have certain painful emotions and how to work through them. And there's some really helpful guidelines. There's chapter summaries which are helpful. So if this is your kind of book, it's not going to be everyone's kind of book. If you're into like spiritual development work, and especially if you like The Seat of the Soul, then I would recommend this one. This was another 5-star book for me, and I definitely have things that I took away from it which are helping me. The next book I read was on my Kindle, so I just insert a picture. And it was The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reid. So this is the story of Ashley, who is a girl in the 90s in LA, and she is about 15, 16 or 16, 17. And she is just looking forward to a summer with her 3 best friends. And she is from a black family, and they are quite wealthy, and she goes to private school, and they're a high achieving family, and virtually all her friends are white. And so she sort of feels like she's lost touch with her kind of cultural roots, because she's mainly surrounded by white people. And she is just planning like a normal summer, and then the LA riots start. And so she then, it says on the synopsis, she then becomes one of the black kids at school. And this book, I had really high hopes. This is a YA book, and I think that's quite important, because I think if I was reading it as a young adult, I would have had a different opinion. But I was really looking forward to hearing about like what it was like in the riots, and what it's like for Ashley's experience, and what it was like for her family, because her sister is quite into activism, and her parents don't really know how to deal with that. And there's also like rifts in the family between Ashley and her family, who have become a high achieving family, and her dad's brother and his family, who are still living in kind of the place where they grew up in it, and they're in sort of quite poor conditions and things. So there's this sort of rift in the family as well. And so I thought this has got all the makings for being a really good story, but I feel a bit like I can't say anything negative about this book because I'm not an Own Voices reviewer, obviously. But I was disappointed. I didn't really feel like we got to know the characters very well. There were moments where we got to know the characters for a little while, and then everything was fairly superficial. I didn't feel like I could really tell you too much about Ashley even after I read the whole book, and I felt like I didn't particularly enjoy the writing style. I felt there was some things which were just purely plot devices, like Ashley sleeps with her best friend's boyfriend and she hates it, and then it's never mentioned again apart from she falls out with her best friend. And I just felt like that was a complete plot device to get her to fall out with her best friend, and it didn't process any of how she felt about the fact that she slept with this boy, and then she was like really regretted, well, I don't know if she regretted her decision, but she really didn't enjoy it at all at the time, and then I think she did regret it. But she never talks about it again. She never processes it. She never comments on it. She doesn't change in her like behaviour. She's not upset. She's not, I don't know. It just seemed like a plot device. And so I think if this is like an early introduction to discussions around race, and you're young, then maybe this would be the right book. But I think for me, I wanted more in-depth discussion and more in-depth feeling and more perspective, and I don't feel like I got that, but that may well just be because I am 20 years too old to read this book for the target audience. So I gave that one a 3-star read, and I did that as a buddy read with Sian, and she felt very similar to me about it. And then so that was the last book I finished. So I've got one book to haul, which was a gift, which I'm so appreciative of. So this is a gift from Heather from Soggy Expat Book Nerd. She showed this book on her channel, and I said that I wanted to read it for my Pop Sugar reading challenge, which was read a book in a different format. And I couldn't get it at the library, and she said, oh, I'll send you my copy. And it's really big and heavy, so it cost her a lot to send this to me. And it is Glass Town by Isabel Greenberg. So I saw this on Lauren's favourite books of the year. And this is a graphic novel about the Brontes and a world that they create. So this is the kind of colour palette and artwork in the book. And like I said, I've never read a graphic novel before, ever. So I'm really excited to read this, and I'm so thankful to Heather for sending it to me. And we were saying to each other how it's really lovely to receive book posts now, especially because like surprises and unexpected things in a good way are quite few and far between at the minute in lockdown. And so getting like a bookish mail is really lovely. So I really appreciate her sending that to me so much. Then I'll just tell you what I'm currently reading. So I am reading, I've taken the dust jacket off because I always do, but I actually love the cover of the actual hardback. So this is actually Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend, which is the third book in the Nevermore series. But that cover is so beautiful that I don't want to put the dust jacket back on, really. So I'm about 100 pages into this. I'm not going to go over the whole series because if you want to read Nevermore, then start with book 1, obviously. But I'm really enjoying this. It's sort of similar to Harry Potter, but different. I don't want it to sound like a Harry Potter rip-off, but it's similar. I'm really enjoying it. When I pick it up, I'm really don't want to put it down, but I've been really busy because of like homeschool and because of just long hours at work and all of that kind of normal life stuff. I've been trying to do as much art as possible because that really helps me feel happy. And I've got into a couple of TV series with Sam, and so I just haven't read as much the last week or so, but I'm really enjoying this, and I'm sure I could just sit down and finish it in one go quite easily if I actually had time to do so. So hopefully I'll finish it this weekend. That's what I'm currently reading. And then I have 2 buddy reads coming up. Oh, actually, I'll just tell you, I'm also listening to Love and Colour by Bolu Babalola, which I am loving. So this is a collection of myth and legend retellings. And Bolu Babalola is British Nigerian, and she is such a good writer. So I'm not normally into short story collections at all, but I'd heard so many people saying that they love this collection that I thought I'd give it a try, and Charlie Brick really kindly gifted it to me on Audible. So I'm listening to it, and the accents are absolutely gorgeous as well. I love the narrators. I think there's 3 narrators, but they're brilliant. And I don't know, I'm not very good on like myths and legends and stuff, and I don't actually know. I know some of the names, like Nefertiti, I know the name, and I know like there's one that features like Eros and someone else. And so I recognise some of the names, but I don't actually know the legends, so I don't know how the retelling compares to the original. And there's also, I think, 3 original stories at the end, and they're so good. They're like so sensual, so they're all about love in different forms, and there's no like explicit scenes in them, but the sensuality is like really good, and they're just like beautiful stories. And I don't feel like, because sometimes with short stories I feel like I'm a bit cheated. It's like I just get into it and then it's finished, but I don't feel like that. I feel like they're complete stories, but you still know about the characters, you still feel who they are, you still get into their heads, you still like care about them, and she's really talented writer. So I'm loving that, and I'm really happy that that I'm listening to that on Audible. That just reminds me, there's also an Audible that I have finished. This is so jumbled, sorry. I finished Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by insert picture because I can't remember, 2 authors. So I found out about this because I watched the Netflix series Dash and Lily before Christmas, and it was set at Christmas. It was just lovely, relaxed, like happy watching. So I saw there was an Audible from the original book, and I think it's a trilogy, and I gave it 3 stars, but I feel like now maybe I should give it 3.5 stars. So it's about Dash and Lily, who are teenagers, they're both quite bright, quite sort of geeky, I guess, and both really into books. And Lily has been leaving this, she's left a red notebook in a bookshop, and she's kind of left a series of challenges in there. So whoever picks it up, as long as they're a teenage boy, they have to like do the challenges, write back, leave the notebook somewhere else. And they build this kind of friendship romance through a notebook. And then they have to decide whether or not to meet at the end, and will their meeting be up to expectations or not, basically. So yeah, it was good. It was Christmassy and good. It was just like quite unrealistic, to say the least, but it's escapism. It was good. I probably will read the rest of the series, but not 100%. So finally on to what I'm doing next. So I've got 2 buddy reads. The first one is one that I got for Christmas from lovely Sean and Bert at Pastory Time. And this is Between Two Worlds by Tyler Henry. Lessons from the Other Side. So Tyler Henry is a psychic, and he is American, and he has a TV show. And this is basically like his memoir of growing up with psychic abilities, how it shaped him as a person. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to buddy read this with Karen Evans. So go and check out her channel if you haven't already. So we're doing that ASAP. And then my second buddy read is with lovely Jo Smith, who I do several buddy reads with. And we are going to do Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, which is here. So I think Jo has read this before, and I have not. So this says, 6 weeks of shopping, taking tea with the most fashionable ladies, and dancing with the most handsome gentlemen is what awaits young Catherine Morland when she makes her entree into the leisure society at Bath. But oh, the thrill of an unexpected invitation from the mysterious Tilney family to stay at their home, a veritable abbey. It is more than even the adventurous Catherine could hope for, as she envisages herself the perfect Gothic heroine, becoming entangled in a web of secrecy and romance. So yeah, that sounds good. I really, I haven't disliked any Jane Austen that I've read. I think I've got them all, the main books. This is one of the ones I haven't read yet, so I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, so that's my sort of what I've read, what I'm reading, what I'm going to read next. So let me, tell me yours. Tell me what you've been doing. If you've read any of these books, if you've got any comments, I always love getting like nice comments. And if you've got anything you want to say, just want to say hi, that would be really nice. I hope you're all okay. I hope you're staying safe and sane and well. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.